The countdown is on for the conclave, which begins at the Vatican tomorrow. Among the world's 1.4 billion Catholics, there is excitement in the air about who will be chosen to be the next pope. For more on this story, we can bring in Solange Moujat, who's in the studio. Solange, great to see you. So, who's going to be the next pontiff?
Well, when it comes to picking a pope, all bets are really off. No one knows, including the cardinals. It is completely unpredictable. Even if there is quite a bit of speculation and even actual betting, I'll get into the gambling aspect that dates back centuries in a second. But first, the mystery. These proceedings are top secret. Divulging details about the conclave discussions is grounds for excommunication. However, there are some basic facts and things that we do know about who selects the next pope and who does not. First, the nots. There will be no women making the choice or even wielding strong influence over who is chosen. Again, women are still not allowed to have high-level decision-making responsibilities in the church. There are over 650,000 nuns in the world, and around 900 have assembled in Rome for this occasion. But they have no say or voting power or even presence in the room.
Maybe you are a cardinal or a young sister. We are all together called to be protagonists, to carry on the mission of the church all together as brothers and sisters in Christ, and to work together. And so the sisters have asked also, to be better listened to.
Now, beyond excluding women, cardinals who are over the age of 80 are also not allowed to vote. There are 117 cardinals who will be excluded because they are too old, and 2 who are eligible but will not be present because of illness. So on Wednesday, when the doors of the Sistine Chapel close and are sealed, there will be 133 cardinals present to vote. Their average age is 70 years old and 3 months. And this is where it gets interesting in regard to alliances and potentially how the church may be changing in the future. Most of these cardinals were named by Pope Francis, or 108 of the 133. But that does not mean that all of these cardinals agree on key issues or are a solid group. What it does mean is that the conclave has become more international, with around 70 nations now represented. In the previous conclave that elected Pope Francis, 52% of the cardinals were from EU nations. It is now 39%. Italy remains the most represented country with 17 cardinals, but again, they don't all agree on the same issues. A few of the top front-runners, or names that have been floated as real possibilities, they are Italian. There's Matteo Zuppi, who's participated in peace talks around the world. There's Pier Battista Pizzaballa. I absolutely adore his name. He was the Patriarch of Jerusalem, as well as the strongest front-runner, at least among the bookies. There's Pietro Parolin. He was the Vatican's Secretary of State. And there hasn't been an Italian pope in 47 years, which actually is a long time for Italy. Even if there is an Italian expression about all of the uncertainty that goes, he who enters the conclave as the pope, well, he leaves it as a cardinal.
Okay, so talk us through about some of the other possible contenders from other nations.
Well, any nation that has a cardinal in the room could have the honor of being the home country of the next pontiff. But again, this isn't about a cardinal's origins or his past work only. It is about his theological vision, his stances on the future direction of the church, his views on certain divisive subjects like LGBTQ plus rights, abortion, sex crimes committed by priests on women, children, and other men, how to be strong on that or against that. But geography could play a role in selecting one person out of the papabile, or the eligible. Another one of the top contenders is Luis Antonio Tagle of the Philippines. He's known as the Asian Francis because of his commitment to the social issues that Pope Francis cared for, as well as for migrants, but he's staunchly against abortion rights and euthanasia. Picking him would also be a nod to the growth of the church in Asia. In the same vein, the next pope could also be from an African nation, with Cardinal Turkson of Ghana and Cardinal Abongo of the DRC, both having their names floated as top possibilities. And it has been 1,500 years since there's been a pope from the African continent.
Does France have any cardinals in the running?
It does, and it has been since 999. when Gerbert d'Aurillac became Sylvester II, that there was a French pope in Rome. Clement VII, he was elected in 1378, but he was based in Avignon. So it has been a while for France. This time, there are five cardinals voting, five French cardinals voting. There's Christophe Pierre, who was sent to the U.S. By the Vatican. Philippe Barbarin, the Archbishop Emeritus of Lyon. He's actually unlikely to be picked because of his legal record. He was convicted of failing to report the sex abuse of another priest. The sentence was overturned, but it is a pretty safe bet to say he won't be the next pope. And then there are the cardinals Mamberti and Bastillo, whose age, he's just 56. Well, that could be a disadvantage. And finally, of the French five, it's Jean-Marc Avelin's name that's been making a lot of the top 10 lists. As Archbishop of Marseille, he's been praised for promoting dialogue between different faiths and different cultures. Nonetheless, the French cardinals, well, they're staying mum, like all of the others, about the behind-the-scenes pre-conclave talks.
An idea of the different candidates?
Of course.
So?
Oh, yeah, you want me to tell you right here in front of the cameras and microphones?
Will it be a European Pope, My Eminence?
It will be a papa.
We're gathering together. We'll vote. And do you know in which chapel?
The Sistine Chapel. He might be the future Pope.
Well, if he doesn't come back to the diocese, you know what that means.
It's like the pools in football. Everyone wants their local team to win, but it's the universal church, so it's a bit different.
Solange, there's so much curiosity with how the Vatican picks its pope with this whole conclave and the process. Is betting on the conclave legal?
Well, it really depends on where you are in the world. In regard to the canons rules, or the Catholic Church's laws, it was banned in 1591 when it became an excommunicable offense. And gambling on the conclave was actually quite popular before that and has been in the centuries since, whether it is allowed or not. The Church's rules were thrown out in 1918, so technically it is not forbidden. That's according to the Church, but it is looked down upon. As for nations, it depends. In the U.S., for example, it's not considered part of the gambling norms like sports are, so it is not allowed. The U.K. and Ireland have a long history of papal bets, and The Economist, for example, has been tracking the ever-changing odds. It's minute by minute. They say that there's actually been 50 times more wagers, if you adjust for inflation, this time than last time. Increasingly, gamblers are betting online for the Pope or for anything else. In Italy, it is not illegal per se, but it is something that's not seen as something proper to do. So instead, an online game called Fanta Papa has been gaining traction. It's a make-believe conclave where users get to pick 11 cardinals, like with a football team, as well as a captain, and they create a fantasy strategy. And young Italians, well, they're loving it.
This game is a really fun game to play with friends and have a laugh.
Well, it might be a nice thing anyway, to play down a little bit everything that happened after Pope Francis's death, obviously.
I found out about this online game and I thought I'd play because it's a fun, youthful thing. And it even helps to involve young people in religion.
Zuppi as a captain.
Yes, personally, I like him. He's progressive.
However, bookies and betting platforms, well, they are notoriously and historically bad at actually predicting who the next pope will be. So all bets really are off, and we will just have to wait and see who is picked when that white smoke comes out of the Vatican.
Clearly, all eyes will be on the Vatican for the next few days. Thank you very much for that.